Hi, and welcome to Managing My Money with Rosa. Today, I am going to walk through my January week 4 budget and where all of my money is going. I am in the process of figuring out why my sinking funds aren't getting as much money as I hope they would be getting. So the beginning of January, I decided to change things up. I am a monthly budgeter where I budget everything for the month, and then that's usually all I do. I have a spreadsheet that I track where I put my funds, and I probably have too many sinking funds, but I feel like I'm not stuffing any of them. So I decided at the beginning of January to do something different, and that was to write out where my money was going. So week 1 and week 3 are my husband's check, are my check, and week 2 and week 4 are my husband's check. I don't know what I just said, so let's start that all over again. Week 1 and 3 are my check, and week 2 and what's going to be week 4 is my husband's check. So January budget, January week 4. So I have not bought somebody's cool little planner to do my budget. Instead, I have used some type of a composition book basically my entire life to budget in. And typically it is just let's write down what my bills are and go from there. It's never really been looking at a weekly budget. So when I decided to start to look at my weekly budget, I went through a lot of different ways to set it up so that I could follow along with what it was. I looked at a handful of free downloadable budgets that I could copy, and I really didn't like them. I didn't feel like they had enough space or covered what I wanted, so instead of buying anybody's stuff, I decided to just change up how I use my composition book and write inside of it. So I'm going to start with income. If you were with me for weeks 1, 2, and 3 of January, you know that I might have a carryover, and unfortunately, I don't know, I haven't made it to unfortunately yet. I had $205 that was going to be able to be carried over. We then had to go on an extra trip in the truck. That was $100 in gas that I wasn't expecting to spend. And then this and that, and my husband went over on his budget. So really there is $0 to carry over, unfortunately. His account tends to be the account that we do pull money from more frequently than mine, so when we need something, we tend to pull it from, and it's not his account, my account, it's the bank where his check gets deposited versus the bank where my check gets deposited. They're two separate banks, but they are joint accounts where he's on both of them and I'm on both of them. So this week, his income was $914.57. So that's what we are working with for the next week as we wait for me to get paid again. So $914.57 is what we're going to work with. Now, I do not pull all of this out. I only pull between 8 and 900 out. I never pull all of it out. It just depends on what I'm going to be doing. His check actually stuffs all the cash funds we have in the house. Those cash funds start with cash for him, and typically I put 200. However, he has been going through money a little faster, so I've set aside 250 for him. Fast food. Yes, we eat out, probably shouldn't. I'm actually going to do a challenge later where if we don't, I get to pull cash, so I'm looking forward to changing that up. But for right now, we eat some type of convenience food about 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week, and then sometimes we don't do it at all. So trying to work on that budget, but we do go ahead and set money aside for $100. And then gas, this is for my car, that is $50. I typically use all 50. I have to drive across town or once every week, so 2 times between each cycle that I put gas in, and I almost always, especially with gas prices going up, I almost always use that. Groceries, I'm gonna put aside $200. Now, I have to tell you, I was excited, confused. We live in Florida, and over the weekend, I got in the mail, my child got something in the mail, and it was an EBT card. I'm like, what in the world? So I started looking it up, and it's a pandemic EBT card. So I'm excited that this is going to help pay for something else, but I'm going to go ahead and set it aside anyways, because now I have grocery money that I wasn't expecting, or I might just get extra groceries. I don't know yet, but I'm excited because I'm going to hopefully have some of this left over for real this time. My youngest gets an allowance. It is not much, but he doesn't do much. He gets $10. I'm going to set aside money for paper goods. Paper goods are not part of my grocery budget. It used to be, and my husband would always go, so how much did you get in groceries? And I'd say, well, I got $200 in groceries. And he'd go, oh, okay. And he'd think I really got $200 in groceries. Well, no, I didn't. I spent $200, and 50 of it was on paper goods. And then he's like, I thought you said you got 200 in groceries. So I decided to pull paper goods out as its own separate piece, because these are things that we can't eat, but we have to use. So I like keeping them separate. So when I do go grocery shopping, I know that I've really spent $200 on groceries, and then I bulk buy all of my paper goods. I went and did that a week or 2 ago, spent all $100, and it was so satisfying to be able to just go in, buy it, walk out, done, cash. It was great. Next, the pet. We have a we have a Dachshund Chihuahua mix, and then we are cat sitting for my daughter, and then my husband has an addiction to feeding the birds outside. He thinks that it's his responsibility to make sure they get food, so I like to put extra money aside for that, and that's $10. And though the RV is one of the bills, I pay for it in cash. It comes straight from his check. We put $100 every check to the side for it. When it gets to $200, I go to the bank and I pay the RV payment. I'm going to put some cash to the side for me, and that is $20. And yes, I know there's a huge discrepancy between what he gets and what I get, but I also have $50 for gas. If I am out and about and I want something, I get it. So it's all taken care of. I'm not worried about it. I have the pleasure of going to the grocery store, yay, and spending money on both groceries, paper goods, toiletries, whatever it is. So I get my spending fixes out without having to actually spend my spending cash. So it works out great. And then speaking of toiletries, that is my last cash fund, and it is going to get $15 this week. So all of this together adds up to $780. $914 minus $780 is $134.57. And that's what's going to go into or go towards sinking funds. We have a handful of sinking funds that come straight from his check, and they come every week, come out of his check. So for sinking funds, we have family birthday. We have 4 children and my husband and I, so there are 6 of us all together, and we pull out, everybody gets $100. And then the youngest, who still lives at home, we spend a little bit more than $100, but everybody gets a $100 bill for their birthday. So I pull out $25 from every one of his checks, so that in a year, basically that's $600. And then I've started to pull a little bit from when my daughter gives me money for her car insurance, so that I can have a little bit of a buffer, because like we have 4 months in a row coming up of birthdays. We have a March, an April, a May, and a June birthday. So we've got $400 getting ready to walk out the door very soon. Retirement. My husband, we have a high interest savings account in which I put a little bit of money in every month, and that's for retirement. We have savings every month, every week when he gets paid, every 2 weeks we put $10 in, and then good old tag for all of our vehicles gets another $10. So altogether, I'm setting aside $50. Now, what really stinks is these are just basic sinking funds that have to get stuffed every single time he gets paid so that they will be, well, especially the top two, so that they will be funded in time for the event that's going to happen. So 134 minus 50 leaves me 84.57. I'm wishing that I had been stuffing more sinking funds than just those recurring four that always come out of his check. And part of this is to figure out why that's all that's getting stuffed. And then in challenges, so I have 8 savings challenges going on right now. I'm going to set aside a little bit of money for 4 of them. So the first one is my 1 month ahead. I am trying to save $2,022 in 2022. So I'm going to put $10 for that. I have a Christmas fund that I want to be funded by November so that I have that. So I'm going to put $5 into my Christmas fund. I have a 25-cent challenge and a 50-cent challenge. My 25 cents is for investing. My 50 cents is for debt pay down. And I'm going to put $2 towards investing and $3 towards debt pay down. And that gives me a total of $20, which leaves me with $64.57. So dropping this account down to $64 makes me a little concerned, just because I know that we have a tendency to zero this account out every single month, or right before he gets paid, it's down to zero almost always. So to only have $64 in it does concern me a little bit, but I'm hoping that it'll be enough of a buffer that we won't have to pull anything out of my account. So this is my week 4 budget for January. I'm going to see if I can figure anything out. I'm pretty close to thinking I have an idea of what's going on and why sinking funds really aren't getting funded, but I need to take a look at all 4 weeks, see what I notice, and then I will come back with what I think is going on. So thank you so much for joining me as I work through my January week 4 budget. If you have not already, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe down below. If you want to know when my next video is posted, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything that I've talked about today. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye, guys.